What's going on, guys? It's Colin, and I thought I'd do one final vlog in chronicling the whole NVIDIA LAN event here for both for my channel and for NextGenTactics, actually. Since this is going to be more me answering your questions, I'm going to put it in both locations, so if you're watching this on NextGenTactics, then a link to my previous vlogs about the event will be in the description. Otherwise, if you guys have already been following along, then you'll know that I posted a quick video from Toronto on my way home, and I was on no sleep, so I couldn't even focus on answering questions. So I decided to do this format. You guys asked a bunch of questions in the description, in the comments. I'm still kind of jet-lagged from the trip. I got a good night's sleep last night, but I'm definitely another good night's sleep away from being totally functional. So anyway, here goes. And I do have my phone with me. I've got notes on this around your questions, so I'm not tinkering around while I'm vlogging. I actually figured this would be easiest so I don't miss anything. So, around the gameplay recording, a lot of you had asked, wanted to see gameplay footage, and we were actually led to believe that we were going to be able to get some exclusive gameplay footage at the event, that you could be the first to see it, and unfortunately that didn't pan out. I don't know exactly what happened, but the guy from NVIDIA, actually a shout out to Chris from NVIDIA for sending us down there. It was an absolutely great time. Glad to meet him, and the NVIDIA Facebook page. Man, those guys, they took care of us and put on a great show. So the link to their Facebook page will be in the description also. So, but around the gameplay recording, that didn't pan out, so I'm really sorry about that, guys. But again, we're 1 week away from what's going to be, I'm sure, reams and reams of gameplay footage. Did they change anything with the mobile spawn point? Now we're into your questions. And as far as I could tell, it was less glitchy. I was able to put it down. I dropped a couple of them around the map and never had an issue. If you remember in the beta, sometimes like if you laid prone or crouch, anyway, it just sometimes you couldn't put it down, and I didn't have any issues on this build that we were playing on at the event. When you're knifing glass, is there a delay before it shatters? There didn't seem to be for me, although there was still a delay in knifing some of the fences on Caspian Border. And there was a bit of lag happening on the full 64-player Conquest maps, but when it was toned down so there was only like 56 players on it, it was perfect from a lag perspective. But anyway, didn't seem to be an issue knifing glass. Compare the gameplay on Grand Bazaar to like a Bad Company 2 map. That's really tough to do, because Bad Company 2 is, and if I'm assuming the person asking the question, that's sort of their Battlefield frame of reference, because Bazaar was like a 5-flag conquest map. It had a bunch of urban areas and stuff like that. So what I would say is like maybe a more condensed version of Arica Harbor with 5 flags instead of 3, and less room between your deployment and when you're actually in the action. So I can't really compare it. You guys are going to have to check it out for yourselves. And if you've never played on a 5-flag conquest map, one of those epic Battlefield maps, then you're in for a real treat when the game comes out. Did anyone PTFO at the LAN event, play the fucking objective? Some people did, but a lot of people didn't. And there were some games where I had teammates that were prone around our deployment, working on their KD, and some guy who never left spawn was cursing and swearing at the team because we lost in Conquest on a 5-flag map because he never left spawn, but he had a good KD, and I just called him a clown and moved on. Do you get points for people spawning on your radio beacon? I don't remember. How was the big map, not the mini map? Did it show anything on it? To be honest, I didn't press the M key to bring up the full map, and so I don't know. Going to be lots of I don't knows, if these are things that I should have read and should have tested, but can you throw C4? I didn't try. I equipped it and blew something up, but I didn't actually try and toss it. I don't know if that mechanic's still present or not. Is the knifing better? It seemed a little bit easier to get those assassination kills, and I did actually get a 2-hit kill from the front. So, quick knife. I was out of ammo, I was out of everything, and was in this crazy situation. So, another question that somebody asked was, is the knife, if you do the quick knife from the front, a 2-hit kill? Unless he was already damaged, then yes, it's a 2-hit kill. Has the bullet damage been fixed? I'm not sure what you mean by that. There was a glitch in the beta whereby players who were moving or sprinting took extra damage. That was fixed. The hit notification you receive when you're taking damage was fixed. So you could take a lot of shots and stay alive and take evasive action. So from that perspective, the guns felt less powerful. Now, whether or not they just fixed the glitches around moving targets and hit notification, or if they actually modified the damage model, I don't know. But the guns, when you were getting killed, it seemed fair. So I had no issues with that. Were you able to hip fire? I was. You know, even at fairly close range, like you don't want to just lay on the trigger. You know, you still wanted to pulse fire your hip firing. It was a little bit more like Bad Company 2 in that regard. But, you know, if you're hip firing with an appropriate weapon, like one of the carbines or a PDW, you have more success than with an assault rifle or an LMG, as you would expect. So I didn't have any issues, and, you know, I would start firing from the hip and adjust and aim down sight. I was having no problem getting kills. Tell us about the base jump into the objective, and that's a map called Alaman Peak that's been featured. I didn't get to play on that, unfortunately. It wasn't open to the play sessions that I managed to get into, so I had a lengthy session every day, never got to base jump to the objective, so that sucked. What did I have for breakfast? So in the video where I announced this Q&A, in the middle of recording myself in the airport, and I'm sure looking like a total tool to the general public, the waiter actually brought me my breakfast. It was a bacon and cheddar omelet and whole wheat toast. So, how was the squad management? So you were able to go into squads and you could go look and select all of them and see who was in it. There wasn't a button on there where you could say join squad. There was just leave squad, find squad like there was in the beta. But, and this could have just been totally random because there were only 2 squads with available slots. And I mean, this is 64 player, right? So there's a lot of squads. We're talking 10, 15, 16 squads. I was able to leave my squad, highlight one of the empty squads, or squads with an empty slot, hit find squad, and it put me in that one. I didn't play around with a lot, but I did that 2 or 3 times, and it put me in the one I highlighted. So I think that that is how you sort of manage the squad system. Was I able to bind keys to the mouse? I was not. I'll have to work that out. You know, if that's not fixed in the retail version, then I'm actually going to have to assign keystrokes to my mouse through the programming software, but I didn't have access to that here at the LAN event, so couldn't bind actions to my mouse thumb buttons, which actually sucked, because I always have prone and crouch on my thumb buttons on the mouse. Made for some sketchy gameplay on my part. Did you use the shotgun with frag rounds? I actually used the underbarrel shotgun, the 40mm attachment, but I did not use frag rounds. I had some success with it, but apparently with frag rounds they will actually do damage to vehicles, less against infantry. Apologies, I didn't get to test that out. Are there any new weapons for Battlefield 3 that are going to be real signature weapons? They've seen the G3A3 and the KH-2002 listed. I only played around a little bit with the KH-2002, I think it's called. It seemed like a pretty beastly gun. Like, most of the weapons seemed fair and balanced. I also finally had the chance to play around with the F2000 and the AEK-971. Those aren't new weapons, but they're definitely beastly in this particular build. Do I like it if in the on the mini map, if somebody shoots with a silencer, they show up on the mini map? Well, I do, because, you know, that's another attachment such as heavy barrel that gives you an advantage that you now have to really think about putting a flash suppressor. I don't know if a flash hider or a flash suppressor versus a suppressor / silencer has an impact, and if one of the 2 of those makes you not show up on the mini-map versus the other. But, you know, in order to have to, you know, if you don't show up on the mini-map when you shoot your gun, like, if you have good headphones, you can still hear a silenced weapon going off. So that means you have to trade off between, like, a heavy barrel and something else in order to gain that advantage, and I like that. So, you know, if you don't want to have the mini-map and all that, then that's what hardcore mode is for. Tell us about mortars. I screwed up on this, guys. I was looking for mortars in the assault, or in the recon kit. They're actually in the support kit. And I didn't play around too much with support. I've played mostly recon assault engineer. And had I known that mortars were on the support kit without farting around too much while I wanted to actually be in there, I got quite immersed in the game. And after my first play session, I was like, damn, this thing runs perfect. It wasn't until I really kicked the tires more. I found a few issues, but I mean, this thing is a ton better than the beta build that we played. But, you know, I'd get into games and, like, get right into it and occasionally forget what I intended to do. And try out the mortars and look for them on the support kit was definitely one of those things that I screwed up on. Does the Javelin work on all vehicles? No. The Javelin is that's a ground to ground. It is effective against the land vehicles. It locks onto the vehicle so you can fire and forget it. Much like the Stinger and the IGLA are for the air vehicles, well, the Javelin is the equivalent for the ground. Seemed to do decent damage. I think I took 2, much like an RPG, 2 to disable a vehicle, and 3, I think, destroyed it. But you'd never know how much damage they'd already taken, so that's going to require more investigation. I was, as I said, playing with things for a couple of minutes and then moving on and playing with something else. Talking about vehicle unlocks, the only ones that I saw that were over and above what were observed in the beta would have been anti-air missiles, heat-seeking missiles for the LAV. So the LAV with the I don't know what the caliber is on the cannon, but I mean that was awesome against anti-infantry, and then with AA missiles, that thing was a beast. I loved using the LAV. That was probably actually my favorite because I could equip Engineer with an RPG, or actually Engineer with a Javelin for the ground vehicles to hop out of my LAV and take some shots at a tank. Then I had the AA missiles for air. If I ran into any infantry, the cannon was perfect for that. So that was like my favorite setup in the whole thing. Engineer, LAV with AA missiles. Spot on. So how prevalent is aim assist? It wasn't present on PC. They don't apply aim assist to PC builds of the game because of the obviously the precision you have with a mouse and keyboard. So until you see a new build, or what's essentially going to be the retail release on console, it's going to be tough to judge that. But I'll try and keep that one in mind. How is the level of destruction? It seemed that it was turned up. Like you could blow things up like crazy. I never tried to knock down any of the big towers on like Caspian border, but I was like trying to hide in warehouses, and they were just getting the snot blown out of them. I never saw a full building collapse, but there wasn't a whole lot that you couldn't destroy. Does it still feel like you're playing in a browser? No. They were actually, though, launching the client locally because they had a special build for this, and it wasn't being run through Origin. So, I mean, it came up as a full-screen application, but again, that really wasn't representative, I don't think, of what it's going to look like in the final build because they were using a special build that obviously had been loaded onto these PCs. Are the sound and graphics different from the beta? Graphics seem crisper, but that could have just been the fact that the PC I was playing on kicks the shit out of my own here at home. I have a single GPU in mine. They had dual 580s in SLI in every machine there, so I'm not even going to comment. I'm going to have to wait to see how it runs on my machine. Were the footsteps more audible? So when I'm playing at home, I have Tritton's AX Pros that I'm using on the PC, and the sound quality is great. They had Plantronics headsets for every machine there, but there was a lot of ambient noise, so it was really tough to compare the sound design between the build we were on and the beta. So I can't really comment on that. Are jets more useful? They had all their unlocks available, or at least heat-seeking missiles. So right out of the gate, the jets were much more useful. I was actually able to get some kills with the jets, whereas in the beta, I was struggling to get any points. Best weapon for every class? I haven't played enough to really comment on that. Did the scoreboard show ping? Did not. Not in this build. Did they fix the reviving? Because it was quite glitchy in the beta. I revived a couple of people successfully without having to try over and over again. But again, like, possibly, but not necessarily. You're going to have to do 20, 30, 40 revives successfully before I can really remark on that. How was Team Deathmatch? At the times when I got into play, it was always large conquest. It was always 64-player conquest, so I didn't play any TDM. I observed some TDM in the 4v4 tournament. We didn't enter a team, and it seemed quite action-packed. Like, they were only playing 4v4, and I don't know if they had special segments of the map laid out for the 4v4 tournament, but the action seemed fast and furious. People were getting lots and lots of kills, so it looked interesting. Was the TUGS motion sensor working? I tried it once. It picked up a couple of people. I was near one flag and dropped it and put up the sensor while I was capping. I capped the flag and moved on. I got a couple of kills, I think, from people that the TUGS spotted. Could have been spotted by someone else, I don't know. But it seemed to work. Do they have any ridiculous unlocks for weapons, like a 6x scope on a shotgun? Yes. you can, I noticed that. I could put like a rifle scope on one of the, like on a PDW or something. So yeah, there are some, definitely some attachments that don't seem to fit the purpose of the weapon. Can you still snipe with the shotgun? I didn't try with slugs. Is the gunplay similar to Bad Company 2? Not really. I find that they have, it seems, increased the recoil modeling a little bit, so you can't just full auto with certain weapons. But the one thing that I noticed that was very prevalent was the bullet drop on all of the weapons, and that was very much more pronounced than Bad Company 2. You had to fire at extremely long range with the weapons in Bad Company 2 to notice bullet drop, and I was trying to pick at someone with a carbine from, I mean, he was clearly visible with just a red dot sight, and I was having to aim like a full person above him, like 6 feet over his head, to get hit markers, and I don't know if they've changed the bullet drop based on the caliber of weapon you're using. It seemed like the ARs had a little bit less, and it would be cool, you know, if you have less bullet drop with a heavy barrel versus, and less bullet drop with a 7.62 caliber or millimeter caliber versus, you know, the smaller caliber weapons, 5.56, I think. I'm not a military guy, so if I screw up my weapon calibers, I'm sorry. But yeah, I mean, that would be very cool, but I'm going to have to play around more and maybe do an analysis on that once the game comes out. Sorry, my iPhone locked. Were there maps that had big choke points like in Metro? Now, the maps were pretty vast. Like, if you got spawn trapped on Bazaar, though, there were choke points and they were tough to get out of. And my team wasn't helping, which just sort of amplified the situation. With 5 maps, you know, choke points aren't as big of an issue. And Caspian Border and Firestorm are huge, wide-open maps. So there are no choke points on there. Haven't seen them laid out for Rush, only Conquest. And other than that one spawn trap situation, I saw no choke points in Conquest. Was the UMP nerfed? How's the recoil? Is it still tough to manage? The UMP didn't seem to be nerfed too much. Like, I played around with it a bit and watched Meatwagon play with it a bit, and it was very, very powerful. But, you know, in fairly close quarters, recoil is still tough to manage, which I think is a good thing. In the beta, the MCOM would flash on the map but not the screen. Is this the case? I think I saw it flashing on the screen. I don't... pretty sure it was flashing if it was being capped. I could see the status on the screen. Did they add any additional death animations? No, you still flop over to the right with your hand in front of you. So, series of questions from one user. How'd you get so sexy? It's just the way I am. SOFLAM, like the Bad Company 2 Recon Guided Missile or something else. I didn't play around with that. Javelin is ground to ground. I did cover that. The semi-auto snipers, are they still a biatch? I got killed with them a few times, but I knew I got hit the first time, right? So I had a chance to try and like weave, dodge, jump, and go prone and pray for my life. And managed to get away a few times, but they still do heavy damage. And I think that they're still a one-shot headshot. Have they turned down the seizure-inducing laser sight? The lasers, they seem to tone down the laser and flashlight a little bit. I still found the flashlight to be too bright outside in the broad daylight. That was, you know, that's kind of disorienting. And if, like, I've had a mag light shot in my face outside. Jesus! Got an airplane flying over, the wind's picking up. I hope you can hear anything I'm saying. But anyway, so those still seem pretty powerful, but they weren't as bad. And has mantling been smoothed out? Yes, seemed to be. I ran into a couple of issues mantling, but that was only in one match when things were really, really laggy on the very last day as they were tearing it down. The media were uploading stuff on the internet connection, and the servers were in LA, not in San Francisco, so there was a ton of lag. But under conditions of lag, the insta-death issue was still not there. Still knew I was getting hit, still had a fair chance to get away. So thumbs up on that one. And was the AT-4 in this build? AT-4 guided rocket launcher, not in the build. Only had the RPG and the SMAW, or the SMA, which are the unguided RPGs, or rocket launchers on the engineer class. They had the Stinger and the IGLA, or IGLA, which were the anti-air heat-seeking missiles for the engineer class, and then the Javelin. Those are the only ones I saw. And I think that's it, guys. I don't have any idea how far this video's gone. I will just post it as one video. I want to thank all of you that have been following along on the vlogs for this event. I don't know if I'll be vlogging. I say vlogging. People are like, it's a vlog. Vlogging, vlogging, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if I'll continue to do this on a regular basis. Maybe if you guys want me to, I will. You know, yeah, I've had a good time doing it. It's certainly not going to be a twice-a-day event, maybe once a week. Don't know. You guys let me know. Leave your comments, as always, in the description. If I missed anything that you want to know, I'll try and get to the questions. We may actually do a Q&A sort of thing on the Don't Revive Me Bro podcast this week. So a link to don'trevivemebro.com will be in the description. You can check that out. We do a live stream podcast most Thursday nights. I think we're shooting for Thursday night at 9:30 Eastern this week. But stay tuned for more, and I'll announce all of that on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. Now, actually, whoa, I'm like pimping myself out here. I did create a Facebook as well for you guys who don't have Twitter. Link to my Facebook will be in the description, because many of you have asked me to do that. If you've hung out through the whole video here, I really want to thank you, and thanks for all the support on the videos while I was at the event. I'm not going to be gaming much this week, but because I have to go away for work and spend as much time with my family before I delve into like 48 hours straight of no sleep, no showering, sitting in front of Battlefield 3. We're 1 week away today. That's it for me, guys. Cheers. We'll talk soon.
Did you like this video? If you did, check out a couple of these. Here on the left on NGT Zombies, Spiderbite, Meatwagon, and myself are playing a new custom PC zombie map called Box. And, well, we're in a box. And on the right, on NGT Games, Spider's playing Gears of War 3, the campaign, on a hard difficulty. Be sure to click the corresponding thumbnails to watch the videos, and be sure to subscribe to NGT Zombies and NGT Games for more videos.